Obesity is frequently portrayed as a root problem, a primary cause of disease, dysfunction, and economic burden. But this framing may miss the deeper truth. For many individuals, obesity is not the beginning of their health challenges, but rather a visible symptom of more complex, often hidden issues. Psychological distress, trauma, social inequality, chronic stress, metabolic dysfunction, and systemic imbalances in sleep, hormones, or environment often precede significant weight gain. In this light, treating obesity purely through food restriction or exercise prescriptions may not just be ineffective, it may distract from the root causes that are quietly driving the body toward fat storage and metabolic instability. When we treat obesity as the origin rather than the consequence, we risk oversimplifying a multi-layered condition. For instance, chronic psychological stress is known to alter the body's hormonal landscape, increasing cortisol levels and promoting behaviors like emotional eating, disrupted sleep, and insulin resistance. These biological changes encourage fat accumulation, particularly around the midsection. In such cases, the weight gain is not the starting point, it's the body's physiological response to sustained stress. Efforts to reduce weight through dieting, without addressing the emotional or environmental stressors, often fail or worsen the situation by adding more psychological strain and shame. Similarly, early life trauma or unresolved emotional pain can play a foundational role in long-term weight issues. Individuals with adverse childhood experiences are significantly more likely to struggle with obesity in adulthood. This isn't because they simply eat more, but because early trauma can rewire the brain's stress response, blunt the reward circuitry, and impair self-regulation. Food often becomes a tool for self-soothing in the absence of emotional safety. In this context, obesity is a coping mechanism, not a failure of discipline. Without addressing these deeper wounds, weight-focused interventions risk treating the symptom while leaving the underlying problem untouched. Biologically, obesity can also be a marker for conditions that interfere with metabolism and fat regulation. Polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, hypothyroidism, and insulin resistance don't just make weight loss difficult, they often precede weight gain despite normal food intake. These hormonal imbalances alter energy expenditure, hunger signals, and fat storage in ways that aren't corrected by diet alone. In such cases, obesity is a secondary effect of an upstream dysfunction. If the focus stays locked on the scale instead of the hormonal terrain, people can be misdiagnosed, mistreated, or blamed for outcomes beyond their control. There's also a growing recognition that social and economic environments shape body weight in profound ways. People living in poverty, food deserts, or under chronic job insecurity often experience higher stress, less access to healthy food, and fewer safe places to exercise. These factors influence weight not just through diet, but through chronic inflammatory stress, poor sleep, disrupted circadian rhythms, and disempowerment. For many in these situations, obesity is the outward reflection of deeper societal inequities, not a lifestyle choice. Addressing it requires social change, not just calorie control. Even within medical care, weight is often treated as the first thing to fix, rather than a signpost for deeper evaluation. Patients with pain, fatigue, infertility, or depression are frequently told to just lose weight as a solution. But this dismisses the possibility that their weight is an effect, not a cause. And worse, it can delay appropriate diagnosis and care. If a person with thyroid dysfunction is told their fatigue and weight gain are due to poor habits rather than a hormonal imbalance, the real issue remains untreated while the stigma intensifies. That stigma is itself a barrier to healing. Obesity carries a heavy psychological burden in many cultures, fueled by media, medical bias, and social norms. Many people internalize blame and shame for their body size, even when their behaviors are not significantly different from those who remain lean. This toxic cycle can reinforce disordered eating, depression, and further weight gain. In such cases, the societal judgment around obesity becomes another layer of trauma, deepening the very patterns that need to be healed. This is not to say obesity is harmless or should be ignored. Excess fat, especially visceral fat, does increase risk for many conditions, including type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and sleep apnea. But focusing solely on the weight, as if it's the root problem, can blind us to the broader network of factors that cause and sustain it. For some, addressing emotional health, hormonal regulation, sleep quality, or stress load may lead to improvements in weight. For others, Focusing on weight loss directly may worsen physical and mental health if the deeper systems aren't first repaired. Reframing obesity as a symptom invites a more compassionate, systems-based approach to health. It suggests we should look deeper when someone gains weight. Ask what else might be out of balance, what pain might be present, what social or medical factors might be at play. And it reminds us that solving the problem doesn't always begin with the food. Sometimes it begins with listening, understanding, and treating the root causes that the body, through its weight, may be trying to reveal.